Hello and welcome to Taik. What is normalization? This is actually an important concept which you need to understand before you start designing your database, building your structure of a database. So we'll discuss about that in this video. If you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. But make sure you turn on the notification on your devices. So basically, what is normalization, right? OLTP, which is operational or online transactional processing database, typically performs better when redundant data is minimized. So normalization is the process of reducing redundant data in a database. That's the whole concept. So we have totally 6 normalization forms, but the first 3 is the major and most consumed one. We are going to discuss about that in this video, which is the first normal form, second normal form, and the third normal form. So what is first normal form? The first normal form deals with separating related data into tables and ensuring that each table has a unique identifier as previously described. So it additionally involves, the basic concept is eliminating columns that contains repeating data. So if you look at in this structure which is on the right side, let's say for an example, we have a customer table which contains customer ID, first name, last name, telephone 1 and telephone 2 as a 5 different columns. So here the telephone 1 and telephone 2 is actually an additional information for this customer. So what if we need one more telephone number? So it is not a good thing that we can add multiple columns whenever we require. Right. So for this, we need to split this customer master table into different tables. Like the customer master alone will contain only customer ID, first name and last name. There will be a separate table which contains telephone number alone, which will have the telephone ID and then the telephone number. And we don't have primary key, then we can create a surrogate key. So if you want to make a differentiate between the primary and surrogate key, I'm going to cover that also in future videos. So by creating these two master tables, and then we need to create one more table which is customer telephone master, which contains the customer ID and then the telephone here. So the benefit of doing that is we don't need to create additional columns, right, which is actually the repeating of the data. So if you want to fetch only the telephone 3, then we don't need to store all this information, right? You can just store it on 2 tables, which is just telephone master and customer telephone master. That's it. The data like first name, last name and other things, telephone 1, telephone 2 will not be repeated data for this one. So that is called the first normal form. When it comes to second normal form, the thumb rule is if you want to adopt the second normal form, you have to follow the first normal form. And if you want to follow the third normal form, then you have to go through first, second, and then only you have to apply the third normal form. That is the sequence of process. The second normal form involves complying with the first normal form in addition to separating data that might repeat across rows into different tables. You didn't understand, right? Don't worry about that. So let's imagine again for an example, you have an employee master, right, which contains employee ID, first name, last name, date of birth and date of joining as a 5 different columns. So what happens is in most of the companies, they will switch employee from one location to another location. Or even they resign the job and then after a few years, they come back to the same company again. So for that, we don't need to create duplication entry of this employee. So here for an example, the Aisha Wheat, which is this employee ID 2, date of birth is same, name is also same, first name, last name is also same. But the date of joining has 2 entries here, which is 9th May 2017 and 2nd February 2020. So by adding this column, which actually we are duplicating this information of the first name, last name and date of birth, right? So because of that, we need to split this table into 2, which is an employee master which just contain employee ID, first name, last name and date of birth. And for date of joining, we need to create a separate table which will have 2 columns, which is employee ID and date of joining. So by doing this, we're going to remove any duplication entries here and we are splitting this table into 2 so that we will not have repeated data here. So this is about the second normal form. Now the third normal form. The third normal form involves complying with the second normal form while also eliminating columns that contains value that do not fully depend on the primary key. So here in this example, if you look at this one on the sales order detail, which contains the total column, right, which is actually the total amount of purchase value for that particular product based on the quantity and the product list price, right? So because the column that contains value that are derived from value in other columns, right, it is not fully dependent on the primary key of the sales order detail, right? So that we can remove this actually, because if you want to going to use it on a Power BI for an example, then we can create a column over there, or we can create a measures over there so that we can get that value on the fly whenever we need it. So this is an duplication of the data that, this is not actually necessary to keep that value total information in a separate column here. For that, we need to remove this from this table and we are good to go ahead with the third normal form. These are the three types of mostly used normalization forms: first normal form, second normal form, and third normal form. If you like this video, just click on the big thumbs up button. If you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. But make sure you turn on the notification on your devices. Share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any queries and feedback, just post it on the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. See you in the next video.